Turning to some cricket now on the SportsMax Zone, West Indies women are facing a whitewash by England after suffering losses in the third and fourth 2020 internationals at Kensington Oval in Barbados over the weekend. The fourth T20 on Sunday saw the Windies going down by 49 runs. Sophie Dunkley again top scoring for England, this time with 35 from 32 deliveries, as the visitors posted 131 for 8 of their 20 overs. Shanita Grimmond and Cherry-Ann Fraser took 3 wickets each. The hosts showcased their worst batting display of the tour, being dismissed for 82 with 4 overs to spare. Skipper Hayley Matthews led the batters with 23, while wicketkeeper Shemaine Campbell added 17. Lauren Bell continued her dominance over the Windies, claiming 4 for 12 to take her series tally to 9. Let's welcome back Nikhil Uttam-Chandani to the SportsMax Zone to review what happened on Sunday. Nikhil, welcome back to the zone. Not too bad performances from the West Indies girls in games 2 and 3. Reasonably competitive, going within 16 and 17 runs of a victory. But things went very badly in game 4. What went wrong?
I think it's been a reoccurring problem for the West Indies, and that's the batting. And I think 82 all out in 16 overs is not good enough. I mean, even without Shabika Ghaznavi batting, still. This was, I think, the best bowling performance as well from the West Indies. They had this strong England batting lineup at 86 for 7 and then let them get to 131. They had that momentum going into the break. And I think the West Indies, I thought this would have been probably the closest game we would have had in this series, given that they were only chasing 131. Would have been the lowest total they would have had to chase in the series. But it was just a complete capitulation. And I definitely think it's been massive alarm bells ringing for the West Indies, and there will be after this series, because it's going to be a very hard task to win that 5th one on Thursday as well. So I think a lot to learn from the English as well. The way that the youth has come into the West Indies, which has been a tough place to play cricket, and the way that they've dominated things. And that is a direction I think the West Indies can possibly look to after that T20 World Cup next year and after the Under-19 World Cup, seeing how well Trishan Holder and Janaba Joseph have done.
Yeah, what were the post-game comments from Coach Courtney Walsh? Because this must be a very frustrating period for them, because remember they had lost the ODI series 3-0 as well, and they're facing a 5-0 series sweep here in the T20s.
Yeah, I think basically his general consensus is the batting needs to be a lot better. And it shows you the gaping holes that the likes of a Deandra Dottin and Stephanie Taylor especially, even though Dottin has been brilliant, Stephanie Taylor, I think, who played in that New Zealand series, got a half-century in her last game before she went off injured. She just shows you how important she is in that top order, because now you're exposing a lot of inexperience. Alia Aline is open to batting, is averaged less than 10. Rashada Williams is still 25 years old, and even though she has shown good signs, she batted at 3 yesterday, and I still think probably a touch too early. Probably more suited to come in at 5. And then you're really looking at Hayley Matthews. Yes, Kaisina and Shemaine Campbell are experienced, but they haven't produced the volume of runs needed to be successful against this England team. So it exposes a very inexperienced top order, and I think that's been their biggest downfall. 82 all out is, for me, unacceptable. And I think the minute that Hayley Matthews is dismissed, it just seems like that's it. So it will take some positives from, I think, the third T20 International when they got to that 140. The first time, mind you, they got to 140 in 30 innings. So it tells you all you need to know about their struggles in probably the last 3 series going back to South Africa earlier this year. But a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do with the bat in hand. And I think that T20 World Cup is going to be a huge challenge given the way we've seen things transpire. We don't know if Stephanie Taylor will be back and return from that injury by then.
Yeah, significantly, the batting is a huge problem for the West Indies, it's obvious. But is it true too that the England bowling attack is really world class? I think Sophia Eccleston's 2 wickets last night put her at 56 wickets in the calendar year, which is a world record.
She's been amazing, but funny enough, she hasn't even been sort of the main wicket taker in the series. Sorry, it's really been the 2 younger players. Charlie Dean, who coming into this series had played 1 single T20 international and had never bowled in T20I cricket. She has been amazing with her 9 wickets. And then Lauren Bell, who is someone that I think started the series on a sort of a trial basis, 21 years old. They have Brunt. They've got Shrub Soul, who they've left out, the more experienced player. And the way she has sort of lit the stage on fire, 4 for 12 last night, able to get considerable movement inwards to the right-hander and swing that new ball. And then at the back end of the innings, able to bowl those slow balls and that Yorker, which she was lethal with last night. So I think the fact that the two of them have stood up with the ball in hand, two 21-year-olds, tells you all you need to know about the depth and the reserves in this England team. Let's be real. England have shuffled and chopped and changed throughout the series and still have been able to not drop a game against the West Indies, even at times like last night where they weren't at their best, and still fought their way to 130 and in the end won convincingly. So a lot to learn. I think there's an upper echelon in women's cricket at the moment with England, India and Australia, especially in T20 international cricket. And for me, those are my three favourites going into that T20 World Cup next year.
And at the end of all that you've said, Nikhil, do you get the strong sense that our ladies are sleepwalking their way to a fifth defeat in the next game at Kensington Oval?
Well, I think, unfortunately, George, I think yes, because I just see this England team, they have very few weaknesses. I mean, yes, you take early wickets against them, but still, they have Dean coming at 10, who's averaged over 50 with the bat in hand against India a couple of weeks ago. So how do you really defeat this team? The West Indies haven't been there with the bat in hand. I think really it comes down to Hayley Matthews, unfortunately, because there's so much pressure placed on a 23-year-old who has just gained captaincy. But not only does she have to come to the party with the ball in hand, she's got to stand up with the bat, more importantly, get out of the power play and still look to score. It's a lot on her. So I think definitely she will be very important. But then someone like Rashada Williams, 25 years old, but has got 69 runs in the tournament, the middle order needs to contribute something if the West Indies have any chance. But I see it very hard to defeat this England team. Just a class unit in all three facets of the game. Even in this series when they've been tested and haven't been at their best, the main important thing is that John Lewis's team has been able to find a way to win. And that's what it comes down to in the end. Wins and losses. And they've won 4 of them. And
you would expect at the end of any series that the post-mortem will be called for. And people will say, well, you know, notwithstanding the performances and the results, there were positives to take. Are there really positives to take from what our women have done against England, Nikhil, you'd say?
I think one of the few positives is the emergence of youth. They played 2 under-19 players in this series. Yesterday, that team that the West Indies women put out, 7 out of the 11 players were 25 years old or younger. Acacia Schultz making her debut. So for me, the positives would be the fact that we've seen that potential there. I'm very excited about that T20 World Cup as well as the under-19 World Cup next year, because that's where I think we get a real gauge as to where our talent pool is at from the under-19 level, which is going to be of utmost importance. So the only positives I think you can take out from it is definitely the youth, but also the way the spinners have bowled on surfaces that have been very conducive. In the 3 T20Is, 65% of the wickets have been taken by spin across the two teams, but the West Indies have bowled well. I mean, you look across, Hayley Matthews, of course, has stood up. And even last night, Sherry-Ann Fraser, the seamer, getting the 3 wickets in 1 over and able to display those variations. So, I mean, the West Indies have been injured in this series. No Shamilia Connell, no Selman, no Stephanie Taylor. So it has been a challenge, but I think very few positives to take. That would be one for me. The youth and the way that they've bowled.
Yeah, okay. Nikhil, we're going to leave it there. The final match will be played on Thursday, and we'll be linking up with you on that as well. Thanks, man. We go to break. Still a lot more to come. Well, not a lot more, but interactive to wind up the show today on a Monday.
Want more content? Follow us on YouTube, subscribe to SportsMax on cable, and download the SportsMax app today.